Hey everyone, Anthony from the Rock Studio here. I'm starting a mini-series on how to become a better roadie. Now when I say roadie, I'm generalizing, but on most jobs at some point we've all played the role of a roadie or we've been roadies in the past. My goal is to help my viewers become better roadies, technicians, stagehands, whether you travel or tour or work within your own city. I hope you can find some advice that'll help you work better, faster, safer, and become more desirable in your trade. So I figured there's some viewers out there who could use some beginner's advice and maybe some seasoned folks who could find something new and helpful. During this first video, I'm going to discuss the items I bring with me on the road as a front of house engineer, but a lot of the same items can be used for multiple disciplines. Now, my daily kit consists of 2 different boxes, one of which is my work box, which comes with me inside the venue every day, and the second is a standard toolbox that stays outside in the van or trailer. This is the box I'm going to discuss first. Okay, like I said, my first box stays in the trailer. It doesn't come inside, and I've labeled this as such. And I'm going to get more into this later, but I want to start out by saying, if you don't label this thing, if you have a random helper loading your stuff in that night, or maybe the venue has provided loaders for you, this will end up inside, and it doesn't need to be inside. It needs to stay in the trailer. Let's take a look inside. We're going to be dealing with a lot of tape today. First off, most important one to have on you is 3-inch gaff tape. Some people use 2-inch. I stick with 3. It's really expensive, about 25 bucks a roll. This one's almost empty. It's time to get a new one. The second kind of tape you may actually put in your work box if you're using it every day. If not, it can stay out here. But this is called spike tape. This is bright green, obviously. This is used for marking locations of things on the stage or labeling stuff. I'm a big time label guy. I put labels on all my stuff on the road. You know why? And this is really important because every band's equipment looks exactly the same. Everybody's guitar case is black. Everybody's drum cases are black. Everybody's phone charger is the same color and shape. You need to label your stuff, or else if you leave it at the venue will have no idea whose it is. If you label your stuff, the opening bands won't take it from you because they'll know it's not theirs, and the venue has a better chance of getting your stuff back to you if it's labeled. So I use spiking tape on the stage, but I also use it on my own stuff. Got 2 rolls of that just in case. This stuff I rarely use, but I have it in my box anyway. This is glow-in-the-dark tape. This is 1 inch. This thing is really handy to have on tour. It's just a little file folder. And you know what this is used for? Back from my tour managing days, I put all of our band's gas receipts and everything in here. That way when you get home from tour, you know what you spent on gas and food and stuff like that. Here's some more spike tape. This is 2-inch fluorescent. Obviously, I've used a similar kind of tape to label this thing. This spike tape comes in handy for labeling all of your band's gears. So go ahead and put some on the guitars, put some on the cabinets, pedal boards. You'll use this to mark all that stuff and write on it. For instance, if it's a pedal board that goes on stage right, I'll put DSR, downstage right, USR, upstage right, upstage left, downstage left, stage center, downstage center. If you make note of all those things with tape on your gear, whoever's helping you load won't ask you a million questions about where something's going to go because it's already written on there. It saves a lot of time. Get in the habit of doing that. And if you don't know upstage right, downstage right, etc., figure it out because at venues, they'll already know that stuff. So labeling your stuff is really going to help. Electrical tape. Like I said, we're talking about a lot of tapes. This is E-tape, electrical tape. This is a cheap kind of tape that you would use for like strapping wires to a truss. If you're doing that sort of work, truss wiring, this is your basic vinyl electric tape for using bulk situations. It's cheap. This is a much better one. This is Super 88 by 3M, and this is really expensive, but I would use this in a more permanent situation where something needs to last. This is like your daily driver when you just need to hold something for the length of the show. Spare strings. Got to bring some spare strings with you when you're on the road. This is a set of bass strings. The last tour I went on, I provided a bass, so I brought some spare strings for that. Trick line. This is trick line. In this box, I just have a short length of cutoff trick line. If you're traveling with a band that has a banner, something like that, you'll want to have this stuff on hand so you can hang that banner easily every night. Like I said, that's a short cutoff. Trick line usually comes on a reel like this, and if you have room, just throw this in your van and just leave it there. This is what they would call waxed style. It's very thin. This one here is unwaxed and it's thicker. You'll have your favorite style. I typically like the wax style myself, but I have ended up with a couple reels of that I've used up over the years. Oh, check it out. Boom. I've got 2 more rolls of 3-inch gaff. I guess I don't need to buy another roll after all. I've got 2 spares right here. It's never a bad idea to have plenty of gaff tape. Here's a spare flashlight. This is the cheap one. It's about $11 from Walmart, which is good because if you lose it, you can go to a Walmart in just about any town and buy a new one. These markers here, these are paint markers. Once you're kind of set up for tour, you might not need to have these with you, but I tend to just leave a couple handy. These markers you would use to label your tape after you put it on your gear. Also, you can label like your mic stands and stuff if you bring your own stands. Go ahead and write your name right on the base of it. That way it won't get left at the venue. I always bring some spare mic clips. Obviously, I'm a sound guy, so I need those. Bring a set of these, C47s we call these. Helpful for hanging banners and stuff like that. Ooh, this is a good one. This spare IEC cable. You'll definitely run into situations where you need one of those. And if you know you have one in your box, all you have to do is run out to the trailer to grab it. Here's a big fatty marker, black one. Pair of rubber gloves. Never a bad idea to have some rubber gloves, especially if you have a trailer that needs its axles greased all the time. Got some light sticks here. That's just safety stuff for working on the van or trailer in the middle of the night. Some more spare mic clips. These are for drums. And some spare Sharpies. When I'm on the road, I even label my Sharpies, and I've had some of them with me for like the last 6, 7, maybe 8 years on tours, and they've lasted that long because they've been labeled, and I always get them back at the end of the night if I let somebody borrow one. There's one other feature of this toolbox here. On the top lid, I have some extra stuff too. Got another roll of E-tape, a spare cheap carabiner. Sometimes when I tour, I bring my bike with me, so I've got a set of levers to change the tire, which happens. Oh, I've got some zip ties in here. It's really handy to have zip ties with you on tour. Just Phillips head bit for a driver, some more zip ties. This is a set of drivers for your multi-tool. Some spare screws, a spare preamp tube will come in handy. Some wire nuts and just random hardware. If the casters fall off the bottom of your guitar cabinet, you're going to want to have some nuts and bolts like that lying around. Couldn't hurt. That does it for this toolbox. Now let's take a look at my front of house work box. This is the one that comes inside with me every day, and you can see it's labeled FOH for front of house. And whatever band I'm working for, I'll have that band name on there too, so anybody at the venue knows who it belongs to. Charging cables. For whatever devices you're going to have with you, bring cables for those. You can use them backstage, you can use them in the green room, wherever. Front of house. Like I said, I label all my stuff with my phone number, the name of the band, everything. Even the cables themselves are labeled like that. Some Velcro ties really help out in this situation. Now the band I'm working for currently uses an old school iPad for house music playback. So I make sure to have the 30-pin iPad charging cable with me, a nice long one. All my charging cables are really long. You never know how far away a courtesy outlet will be from where you are. Since I work front of house, I need my headphones, so I bring a set of MDR 7506 by Sony with me. Sometimes if I have a recording device or an old school phone or whatever, I just make sure I have charging cables for all that stuff and enough chargers for all of that stuff too. These are some aux cables I bring with me. I bring 2, one as a backup to plug in our house music playback if the venue doesn't provide those. Like I said, I have 2. And along with those, I guess I should point out that I have adapters for Lightning and also for USB Type-C. We got some more tape on hand. This is console tape. This is 1-inch console tape. And you would use this for marking the console every night, obviously, but also you can use it for labeling any other sort of stuff that needs like a temporary label. Here's something I picked up when I was on the road with Guar back in the day, and that is just a standard mic splitter. Sometimes this comes in handy, so if you're going to find yourself in a situation where you need one of these, just prepare and just have one with you. Oh, this is very topical in these days, hand sanitizer. I'm a real germaphobe, so when I'm on the road and I have to touch somebody else's console every night, you bet I've got plenty of hand sanitizer, because the last thing you want to do on the road is get sick. And the very last thing you want to do is get anybody else in the van sick. So wash your hands and disinfect them as often as possible. Here's another one, a third hand sanitizer gel. Got a paint marker in here. It's for doing some labeling. Handy stuff that you need, typically a spare 9-volt battery. Here's some parts for headphones. Memory sticks. If you're like me and you've got to load your show onto a new console every night, it's best to have multiple copies of this stuff. I have 3 right here on one chain, but I also have a spare of everything in my backpack, which stays on me at all times. These are, of course, all labeled with the band and my phone number. Can't go anywhere without a multi-screwdriver. This one, of course, is labeled. I have several dollar bills in here. I don't know where these came from, but you never know when you're going to need a dollar or two. Another screwdriver. Couldn't hurt to have that with you. Some AAA batteries. Some random adapters. Earplugs, very critical. Check this out. I don't go anywhere without these, especially on tour. I've got 3 pairs here, foamy ones and 2 silicone ones, and I use these constantly because being an audio professional, I want to preserve my hearing as long as I can. I already came back from a tour a number of years ago with tinnitus, and it has been a long road, and it's been terrible. Got some more zip ties in here, a DI box. If you're on a tour where you don't need one of these, you don't have to bring one. But I use this box for other shows while I'm not on tour, so I have it here with me. Here's an extension cord with a triple tap. Like I said earlier, when you have all your chargers and stuff with you, you're going to want to be able to plug them all in. So bring a long extension cord or a power strip with a long cable on it. I've got some more spike tape with me here. This is 1/2-inch fluorescent. Like I said, if you don't need this with you on a daily basis, you can probably leave it in the trailer. Here's a set of precision screwdrivers, which come in handy if you need to do surgery on a guitar pedal or something small like that. Eyeglasses. I've used this many, many times on tour with me, and it's been on tour with me since about 2012, and it has never left this front of house workbox. Got some guitar picks here. Can't hurt to bring those, especially if you're a musician. I've got another charging cable here. For this one is for an iPhone. Here in these pouches I have a couple microphones on board. Doing front of house, I'll bring one with me on a tour to use as a talkback mic. Like I said, I'm a germaphobe and I don't want to use someone else's talkback mic, so I'll bring my own. And then I'll typically bring a couple spare mics just in case. A 57 and maybe a 58 or an extra vocal mic or something. Check this out. I've got some ibuprofen. Keep this in the front of house box. You never know when you're going to need it. Something's missing from here, and that is some Altoids. It's nice to have something to chew on when you're mixing. Here goes some zip ties. Got plenty of those. And here is a paintbrush. The Humble paintbrush comes in really handy when you are running sound, especially if you own your own console and you would use this to dust off the console around all the knobs and stuff. It really comes in handy. It's just a little trick I picked up working AV shows. Oh, here we go. Just in case of emergencies, you've got to have a Band-Aid with you. Pen. Oh, this is really handy. Have some spare Velcro ties. You'll use a lot of those. Paper clip. Oh yeah. Here's my talkback mic. It's got the switch on it. So that takes care of the stuff that you'd be using a lot when you're on the road. Now we're going to talk about a few more advanced things that you might use and you definitely want to be familiar with. An electrical circuit tester. Of course, I have my name and number on there. This is used for checking to see if an outlet is properly wired. Comes in handy if you are a guitarist or a bass player in a band. That is properly wired as indicated by the 2 orange lights. There's another item in here I didn't really consider as something you'd bring on the road. However, a buddy of mine who's a lighting tech out in LA carried one of those in his kit, and he shared it with me, and I thought it was handy to have on your kit. So this would be a sniffer. It's a voltage detector. It will detect AC voltages, but not DC. So you turn it on. You can check easily to see if wires are hot or not. So for instance, if you're a technician and you deal with a lot of power cables and you're trying to troubleshoot a system and figure out what's not working, it's a quick way to identify a hot wire versus a dead wire. This is something that I didn't have in my box, but I do bring on tour with me, and it's a digital multimeter. If you're not familiar with this, maybe it'd be a good time to look it up and learn about it. You can check DC and AC voltage with this. You can look at continuity. You can look at impedance, capacitance, etc. You can even use this as an ampacity meter. This is critical to have. You can do a lot of troubleshooting with this device. Now I'm going to discuss 2 things that I didn't have in my box because they're always on me at all times when I'm on the road. The first of which is going to be my multi-tool. This is a Gerber Scout. It's a real reliable model. I've had several of these over the years. That goes in the pouch, and then there's a secret surprise inside the pouch, which is always handy to have, a spare key to the van. I also have a utility knife on the side of this one. I used to carry a pocket knife on tour until I just about got arrested getting off the subway in Manhattan, and I decided not to carry a knife in my pocket. This way, at least I can take this off and put it in my work box, and then I wouldn't have it on my person. Here's another trick that I learned about. If you tie a carabiner to the belt loop of your multi-tool case, you can clip this on your belt loop. That way, when you take your belt off or loosen your belt, like to go to the bathroom, for instance, your multi-tool doesn't fall on the ground. It'll just hang on your belt loop and you'll be safe and clean. The last item we're going to talk about today, and this is a critical one, is my flashlight and my gloves. I don't like working with my bare hands. Like I said, I'm a germaphobe. I need to wash my hands all the time if I touch stuff, especially cables. The dirt on my hands really drives me crazy, so I put a pair of gloves on whenever I move or touch a piece of equipment or a cable. It only takes a second to put them on, and it can really help and save your hands from getting damaged and cut. So I buy these at Home Depot. They're $10. My gloves go on this S carabiner with my flashlight. This is that same Walmart flashlight that's about $11. I typically prime them and paint them a fluorescent color, and I wrap some tape around them. And this is a trick that I developed myself. I take a zip tie and I loop it around, tape it on. That gives a loop on which the flashlight can hang, but also you can put this in your mouth and chomp on it while you need your hands to look at something in the dark. The final part of this setup is the Night Eyes S-Beaner. This is really handy to have. The flashlight just clips on there real quick. Your gloves go on there. When it's on your belt loop, to get your gloves off, you just rip the Velcro. To get the flashlight off, just twist it. It goes right on, twists right off. And it's really convenient to have these things that you're going to use 100 times a day right on your side. That goes for all this stuff. You'll use it 100 times a day. I use this thing 100 times a day. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned about a couple things that'll make your life at work safer and better. Please stay in touch, and please stay tuned for more.